very good evening and welcome to our Thursday sporting chat here on Sheffield Live TV. We owe Al's fans a bit of chat about them really in the transfer window especially. There are lots of talking points. The way the team is performing gives us plenty to discuss. I think we've gone from one extreme to the other since we last featured Sheffield Wednesday on this programme. And the right side of that extreme at the moment following two great victories back to back. We'll talk about the transfer issues, a little bit about the EFL on a day when another championship club, this time Derby County, have been charged. And there's one of the stories from quite recently, one of the most unusual stories you'll find, about the fourth official at Bramall Lane during the Sheffield United versus AFC Fylde FA Cup tie. I'm delighted to say we have that fourth official in the studio this evening following an appeal that one or two of you may have heard me put out last week because things can get heated here, Alex Miller of the Sheffield Star, and occasionally we do need the services of a fully qualified referee just to intervene. So that guy is Tyler Machin. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
And well, let's start. I mean, Alex, you'll forgive me if we start with Tyler.
Yeah.
He balances the sofa perfectly as a Sheffield United fan as well. And Tyler, you know, that was extraordinary. I wish I'd have been aware fully at the time of the role that you were playing behind the scenes and then in front of shop at Bramall Lane at the Fylde game. Tell us how all that unfolded for you.
So just a standard normal Sunday morning really. I did a game in the morning in the Sunday League, travelled straight to the match, sat down, watched the first half. Obviously we're winning, I think 1-0 at the time. And then at half time an announcement.
Hey, just before you carry on, referees are supposed to be unbiased. We were winning 1-0 at the time.
Sheffield United were winning 1-0. Right. Sat down at half time and then all of a sudden an announcement came over the tannoy asking for a qualified referee to replace the linesman who had gone injured or gone ill. So I thought, yeah, here's my chance. So went straight down to the front, had a word with the steward.
But you were right at the back of the stand though, weren't you?
Yes, I was, but luckily my seat was next to the stairs, so I was able to run down quite quick.
So you ran down?
Yes.
You didn't
absolutely.
want anybody to get there before you?
No, took my chance.
Were there any other contenders?
There were 3 of us there, including me. One guy was eliminated because he was a lower level. And so there was 2 of us in the tunnel.
Lower level in the refereeing qualification?
Yes, he was level 7, I'm level 6.
Uh-huh.
And there was another guy in the tunnel with us. But the thing is, I had my tracksuit on because I'd just come from the game in the morning and had no time to go home and get changed. So the referee was like, well, he's in a tracksuit already. It's a Nike tracksuit, it matches all the FA issued kit, so let's get him. And next thing you know, I'm in the middle of the dugouts. Wow.
So it's a bit like an X Factor. They put out the appeal. There were three contenders, and you got the nod.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
How exciting was that?
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant.
Yeah. But did they ask you who you supported though?
I don't know. They didn't actually. No.
Should they?
Well, at the end of the day, it was either going to be a Sheffield United fan or a Fylde fan.
Correct.
So I don't think it would have made much difference who it came from.
We'll go back to this story in a bit because there's plenty more to tell about sharing the touchline with Chris Wilder, Jim Bentley, the AFC Fylde manager, nearly said Morecambe. He used to be at Morecambe. Have you ever refereed a game, Alex?
No.
I love that bit.
Back in my playing days, I was sort of the player that was getting told off by the referee all the time. So I don't think I could have gone behind enemy lines.
No, I fully admire match officials, A, for wanting to do the job, and B, putting up with what they do at all levels, because it's not just at the professional level where you see players mouthing off. I think it can be even tougher at the level that you're at.
Absolutely, yeah. It can start even at kids level. When I first started refereeing, I used to do kids games, and I think a lot of the kids get it off watching people on TV give it that, so they think that's what they're doing, that's what I can do. But you just got to stay disciplined and stick to your principles.
You're refereeing grizzled blokes at the age of 19, which raises another challenge, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. You can turn up to a game and you get the impression that, look at him, he's 19, we can get the better of him. But like I said, you stick to your guns and to find out early doors that you're not someone to be messed with. And then you've got the game in your back pocket for the rest of the match, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk more about your fourth official duties, but I mean, when you're a spectator at Bramall Lane, unashamedly, unabashedly supporting Sheffield United, Do you ever get slightly annoyed with the match officials?
Occasionally, yes. Because obviously me being a referee, I understand a lot of the laws of the game a bit more than the regular fan. So I can sympathise with the referee as well to see like, oh, I can understand why he's made that decision. So it's a bit 50-50. At the end of the day, I'm there as a fan. I'm there to support Sheffield United, so I do get frustrated. But at the same time, I can sympathise as well because I understand the thinking process.
Do you ever shout out loud?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Only in support, but not against the referee. I haven't asked him about VAR yet.
Oh well, yeah, we can get going on that.
We could get going on that. We'll come back to you. It's only part of a great story. We're part of a soap opera. I mean, in more ways than one, aren't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, not only part of a soap opera in covering Sheffield Wednesday, but you glory in the nickname of Toadfish.
Oh yeah, I was wondering if that was going to come out. Yeah. I'm sort of, I don't mind it so much. There are worse nicknames to have, I think. Yeah.
Well, I think so. The Neighbours fans out there will associate. So, you probably don't know whether you're standing on your head or your elbow at the moment with covering Sheffield Wednesday.
It's just incredible. Yeah, I've only been doing it. This is my first season doing it. So yeah, sort of in my first few weeks, obviously we were dealing with Steve Bruce, and then all that happened, and then you're into transfer embargoes, and obviously Lee Bullen taking over, and then Gary Monk taking over. But then on the pitch as well, we were just talking before about the fact that they go on this long unbeaten run. They're unbeaten at home under Gary Monk. Everything's looking rosy. Christmas turns, 3 defeats, in a row. And then, they rock up down at Premier League Brighton and then away at Leeds and get 2 wins. It's just, it's very much the nature of the Championship, isn't it? But it's such a topsy-turvy season that thankfully is going very well for Sheffield Wednesday, but yeah.
Which is the real Sheffield Wednesday? So it strikes me that Gary Monk really put his foot down following that third holiday defeat. He used stronger language than he'd ever done, certainly in the dressing room, I'm sure, and also in the media. And he backed up those words by changing the team, freshening it, and got an immediate response from the players that he brought in and the ones who kept their place. So has that changed the direction of the season for you and corrected it?
I think so. Look, time will tell, won't it, over the next few weeks. But I think having spoken to the players and Gary Monk about that little run, it was 3 games, but it was 3 games in a week. So depending on how you look at it, it was only a 7-day blip, if that makes sense. And they did manage to turn it around. As you said, we were both doing media duties at Hillsborough after that defeat against Hull, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was a good half an hour that he was in the changing room afterwards. So you can only imagine what was said then. And he was quite honest, as you say, about the fact that they did need to boot up them, and it does appear to have worked. They were fantastic at Brighton. They were the better team with a much changed side. He was very clear about the fact that other players deserved an opportunity. It wasn't a case of resting players. It was because he was very clear that other players in the squad deserved an opportunity. And then Leeds last week was just the perfect sort of Championship away performance, the way that they sat in, frustrated Leeds, let them have a lot of the ball, and then, as the game went on, thanks to, in no small part to Atinuhu, a fantastic late win, and the scenes, by the way, in the away allocation were incredible. I've never seen celebrations like it.
It's great. Wonderful moments like that. And as you say, that is the Championship. And a cynic would say, sitting here, and probably did say before we came on air, Sheffield Wednesday are just as capable of losing a boring home game to Blackburn 1-0 following that.
Let's hope that.
That doesn't happen.
It's sort of, if you look at the run of fixtures that they have, or results rather, it has been sort of in blocks a little bit. There hasn't been the odd sort of, and so, hopefully they can put a run together, and we'll see where they are in sort of 6 or 8 weeks' time.
How do you see the window? Because at the moment, just as a recap, it's good, I think, to see them thinning the squad. I think, the penny may have dropped, on previous windows. I thought they had a good window actually last summer from that point of view as well. Ash Baker to Newport, cash offer accepted. Moses Odebajo gone, contract cancelled. He just wasn't right defensively at Wednesday, was he? Right?
With Odebajo, it's sort of been it's been mooted that he was only signed in the summer, of course. So I think it was on a 2-year contract. So he's still very much at the club.
He's available.
That's what they said. We spoke to Gary Monk. We sort of got an exclusive. My colleague Dom Howson got an exclusive saying that Odebajo was available in this transfer window. Gary Monk sort of stopped short of confirming that publicly.
Right.
But we believe that to be the case. Yeah.
So he's available.
Yes. Yeah.
He's available. Right. Jordan Thornley has gone to Blackpool. I mean, that was the start of the mini exodus, if you like. And again, there was a fee involved. So do you imagine more players will go, or do you think players will come in before more go?
Monk's made it very clear that he wants to bring players in, specifically in attacking areas. And so I think that's very much the priority. We spoke to him today at his press conference ahead of the Blackburn game, and he asked him about Baker and Thornley, and he said that those two players were players that they're not young lads anymore. They're in their early 20s, and it was time for them to go and get their career going. He'd had chats with them both. He was very honest about the fact that the chances are they weren't going to break into the first team this season, and so I think it's a wise decision to let them go to clubs slightly down the ladder and let them see how they can go. Another factor, of course, is that Monk's very keen on having the under-23s and some of the academy players in training as well. So what is already a big squad, with a few of the younger lads in as well, it makes training sessions, I imagine, quite hectic.
Yes.
So if you can get a couple of the players that maybe aren't going to feature out the door, it makes a lot of sense.
Makes it a more manageable group, I suppose, as well. Connor Wickham, the name has lingered, not just because he played for Wednesday before, but I think it's 3 weeks since his name popped up again as a likely target. Do we assume from the fact that the name keeps recurring that there's genuine interest there?
Yeah, I think so. What Monk hasn't done, there's only one player that sort of Monk's acknowledged that Wednesday would be interested, and that's Josh Sims, the winger at Southampton. But when we're throwing these names at him, he sort of made a joke of the fact that when you speak to him next, there's going to be another name, isn't there? But we spoke to him about Besla Bala at Crawley a few weeks ago, and he more or less said that they weren't interested. What he tends to do in this window with players that we think might be names that they are interested in, he's refusing to rule them out. So that was the case with Wickham. It was the case with Rian Brewster and Eddie Nketiah, who obviously both players that they haven't got hold on, but it does seem like Connor Wickham's a player that might be available. And
Eddie Nketiah is staying at Arsenal, to the chagrin of Leeds United as well.
Yeah,
they thought they'd keep it.
And a number of Championship clubs, it was really competitive, that battle.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday. So it remains ongoing. We'll come back to that subject, because we haven't mentioned Jordan Rhodes and links, with other clubs there, and we haven't mentioned the signing they have made, Manuel Hidalgo, Argentinian winger. Let's go back to Tyler Machin. And before we get to your refereeing duties, it must be crikey. I mean, 19 years of age, I bet your family, older members of your family are saying you don't know how lucky you are to be a Blades fan and see this so early in your life.
Absolutely, yeah. I go to the matches with my dad and my uncle, and my dad says the other day this is the best football he's ever watched, and he's watched Dave Bassett, the era of their success, and obviously we got promoted under Neil Warnock about 10 years ago as well, and he says it's no better time to be a Blade. And
also with the refereeing perspective, it strikes me that this team is probably a pleasure to referee as well, apart from all the other plaudits that we give them for the results on the field, the brightness of the football. It's essentially a very fair team as well. It might be physical, but it's fair. Would you concur with that?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we've had any red cards this season. Actually, no, we've had one, but I think Billy Sharp got sent off against Southampton, which is only one, I suppose. I don't think he meant that, really. But even when I was in the dugouts, the lads were fine. I had a quick laugh and a joke with them before the half begun, and there were no problems between any of the two managers whilst we were there. So, yeah, very fair.
Because that fourth official role, it would have been new to you, because you don't get that in Sunday League and local league football. You don't have a fourth official, so it is a very specialised role. I think fourth officials could be far better utilised than they are, and that they're verbal punch bags for managers, and it's not right. You didn't get that though in in your game? It was all quite civilised and gentle down there, was it?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I says, when I came out of the tunnel, Alan Neal had a quick chat with me. He wanted to know how I got my black eye and stuff like that, which I banged it on the kitchen door, if anybody's wondering.
Do we believe that?
Well, referee,
He was having a quick laugh and joke about that, and when the game began, there were no trouble on the sidelines. Both managers were polite. Obviously,
did they query anything with you?
I think Wilder wanted to know why there were 4 minutes added time, but I think there was obviously a reason why, because a couple of lads went down injured.
Yeah, but you don't decide the.
I don't decide that, no. The referee radios in on the comms kit and tells me how many minutes to put up on the board. So it weren't really down to me, but Wilder were just a bit curious.
Yeah, okay.
To why.
Politely.
Politely, yeah, no trouble.
Yeah.
No trouble whatsoever.
Any quips, wisecracks? No.
No, not really. Just got on with the game, really. No.
Yeah, didn't have to call the referee over to sort anybody out.
No trouble whatsoever.
And how much communication is there between you and the referee? By the way, was Jared Gillett, the first foreign referee in English football from Australia. How was the communication there? How frequent was it with him?
All the time. Not necessarily between me and him, but between him and the assistants. They're talking all the time about offsides and stuff like that, and players being in offside positions and fouls and etc. and throw-ins. Really, the only comms I had really is whenever a manager had come up to me and asked for a sub, I'd just radio in and say, look, next time the ball goes out, they wanted to make a sub, and etc. And obviously he radioed in when he wanted the board going up for added time and stuff like that. But
yeah, that must have been an education as well, because again, that's something
I never used. Never used a comms kit whilst refereeing. I think buzzer flags is about the most tech I've used.
How aware were you of the size of the crowd, which again you wouldn't have been used to, and the attention, if you like?
Well, with me watching Sheffield United every week, obviously being part of the crowd, obviously we attract fairly big crowds. I know it was a bit of a reduced attendance with it being the FA Cup, but obviously 11,000 people there. Never refereed in front of that many people before. I think my highest attendance before was about 400 in the northern counties somewhere. Yeah. So to go from 400 people to 11,000 was amazing. And to see yourself on Match of the Day, then, absolutely, yeah, and social media as well. You didn't tell your parents that you're going to be on. They didn't know, did they? No, because my dad was working. Because he normally comes to the matches, you see, but he was working till about 10:30 that night, and he's not one for social media. No. So he just got through the door at 10:30, just as Match of the Day was starting. And I just watched it, and I'm like, do you recognise him on the telly there? He says, oh, look, it's you in the crowd. I says, no, look closer. He's got the earpiece on and everything. And he's like, wow. Incredible. I want you to tell me, though, now, Tyler, how long we've got left of the first half. Because we've come to the full time, but we've got some stoppage time. Let's have a look at 2 minutes added. We've got 2 minutes left of this. Thanks. Where did those 2 minutes come from? Have you been in? EFL today have charged Derby County. Not unexpected for you?
Well, these things sort of do. Obviously, we know the wranglings that certain clubs, have had with the stadium sales and that sort of thing, and Derby County were obviously one of them. Obviously the situation with Wednesday has been going on for 2 or 3 months now, isn't it? Yeah. Unexpected, possibly not. And it is a case that we don't know the ins and outs and the intricacies of the paperwork and everything that's gone through. Yeah. But having seen what's happened with Wednesday, it can't be completely unexpected that it's happened to one of those other clubs, I don't think.
Well, all these are slightly different. They've been charged with exceeding the limit. Derby County. Sheffield Wednesday, as distinct from that, is about how and when they kind of circumvented going over the limit. So in that case, it's a bit of a test case, and it's very different, I think, from the others. And I think Birmingham City, a breach of business plan is alleged in that case. So they are hard to predict because they're not precisely all the same.
That's right, yeah. The wording is different. We're getting into sort of very intricate, like I say, legal stuff, and so I think it's all based around certainly Derby and Wednesday, by the sound of things, this stadium sale and all that sort of stuff. I mean, the Wednesday situation.
But Sheffield Wednesday weren't charged with exceeding the limit. They were charged with how and when they kind of got
That's right. The wording is misconduct.
Yeah, we'll come back to that because we're running out of time and we'll have Tyler over here complaining if we exceed the time he's added on. So do rejoin us in 5 minutes with both of these guys. See you then.